business partner, an employee, a boss, or maybe it's even your spouse, the person you live with. But you want to let them know how you feel, that you appreciate them, but it just doesn't seem to connect, it just doesn't seem to work. Well, maybe you're not speaking their love language. So I'm going to give you a few tips using the famous book from Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages. And with Valentine's Day coming up, we're going to talk about what they are and what you can, maybe a strategy or two you can do about that. And of course, you can always contact me at my website, and we can have a session where you can clear emotional blocks to giving and receiving love. We call that the heart wall. When we clear your heart wall, it just opens up those channels to give and receive love. But let's talk about the five love languages. So the first one is called words of affirmation. Some people, what works best for them is to be acknowledged, to be appreciated, to feel like they have value, that they're worthwhile. People that own large businesses or factories, sometimes a wise boss will go around and pat people on the back and just walk around and tell people what a great job they're doing. But you know what? Not everybody, this doesn't float the boat for everybody. But for some people, it's their number one. Is it that your number one for you? And is there somebody you want to connect with more? Well, try it out. Try it out. Be complimentary. Always look for something they're doing good. When I owned my own business, sign and graphics company, we got together every Friday morning and sat around the table, the whole company. The graphic artists, the production people, administrative people, and even the guys who went out and repaired signs and worked on the trucks. We all sat around every single Friday, and we went around the table, and we had a chance to acknowledge people for things that they appreciated about them over the previous week. The first time I did that, my right hand trusted employee came up to me afterwards and said, "If you do that again, I'm out of here." That's what he said. He was so uncomfortable doing it. But you know what? I stuck with it, and I ran that company for 14 years. And once we started doing it, we never missed a Friday, and everybody loved it. They were on time, and they appreciate it. For some of them, it's the only time they were ever acknowledged for any job they'd ever had. For some people, it didn't make as big a difference. So words of affirmation. Second one is physical touch. Now, I'm a kinesthetic person, so it matters to me. A handshake, a pat on the back, how you doing? Just any kind of physical touch. With my wife, physical touch is very important. I hug her several times a day, and she knows that it's coming, and she doesn't mind. Now, words of affirmation is not hers. Physical touch is not hers, but physical touch is, at least in the top two for me, probably even number one. So that's an important one. Some people, it's inappropriate to physically touch them, and in this day and age, boy, it's a tough one. But some people, it's their main love language is physical touch. So how the heck can you do that? You have to be careful, especially in the working environment, how you touch people and when you touch people. And so what I do is ask permission. Is it okay if I give you a hug? Of course, you don't have to when you shake your hands. But, in the COVID era, if they're not going to stick your hand out, I'm not going to go and grab their hand and to shake their hand. But a handshake is really important for some people. I shook hands once with a very famous person who came to our Rotary Club, and he was running for president of the United States, and I got to shake his hand, and I knew right away that he was not a kinesthetic. It was limp, cold, sweaty. He was nervous. It was one of his first, probably his first political foray he'd ever made. And he did end up becoming president. And I read an article years later about him saying that, and they used the term love language, that his love language was words of affirmation, words of praise. You could take this guy and just say wonderful things about him to him, and he would just soak it up. But touch, no, didn't make a difference at all. Never felt loved. Next one is probably number one for my wife. It's called quality time. So like today is my wife's birthday. Today is the day, and so giving her a hug is great for me, but it's not a birthday present she wants to get. I can praise her and say wonderful things. Yeah, it feels really good to do that, but that's not her main love language. That's not how she feels loved. How she feels loved is quality time. I'm going to sit with her tonight and we're going to watch a movie or watch the Olympics or something. We're going out to dinner where we can sit at a table, just the two of us, and talk about our day and talk about things. It's really, really important for her to have quality time. How do you do that when you're in the workplace? Have quality time. It doesn't take a whole lot. Just calling somebody into your office and sitting and chatting with them without an agenda. It's not a reprimand. It's not necessarily a praise, although it usually turns out to be that way. But once you identify somebody as having quality time as their love language, and yes, in the workplace, people can have love languages. It's all right. And there's a whole, Chapman has a whole book about love languages in the workplace. And they're a little different from the ones I'm going over, but I'm doing the 5 main ones today. And then the next one is acts of service. So it's not so much the quality time, it's doing something for somebody. That's probably number 2 for my wife, acts of service. When it snows, she's parked outside. I'll get up early and go and clean her car off. That's called acts of service. If you have an employee who's sick, you make a phone call to them to see how they're doing, or send a gift to their wife on their birthday, not to the employee, but maybe to their wife or their family, or a special Christmas gift, or you do something special for people. For some people, it's not the most common one, but if you identify it with somebody as that's their love language, it's an investment of time. And you may not think you have time out of your day to do that, but you know what? You spend an hour, or maybe even in extreme case, 2 hours doing an act of service for somebody who you care about. It'll pay off business-wise for you 100 times over, 100 times over, and that's probably being conservative. I had employees who stuck with me through thick and through thin, and my right hand, who I was talking about before, acts of service was his. And we did little things for him to make, didn't talk to him. He didn't care about words of praise. He was not a touch person at all. Quality time, if he, it was just, he wanted to do his work and then leave right away and go back to his family. But little things, acts of service. And one of them was religiously, he didn't celebrate Christmas. And he let us know at Christmas time, if we were going to have a Christmas party, he could not attend. Even though it was a very secular event, we'd have a Christmas party every year, and he wouldn't come. So after I realized that after the first time, and he didn't come, and he told me why, we just didn't have a Christmas party anymore. But we had an end of year celebration at a restaurant or somebody's house or something, and there were gifts and everything, which were acknowledged gifts or bonuses for the end of the year. He was absolutely fine with that, as long as we didn't use the word of Christmas. And he never said a word about it to me, but I know it meant a lot to him just to do something like that we, and all the other employees knew, and they were fine with it. That was great. As long as they got the present, they were fine, which leads us to the next love language, which is receiving gifts. I made a horrible mistake once in my life. I was in a play. I used to act, and I do community theater, little semi-professional roles, and I gave I had a lead in a play, and the leading lady, I bought her a gift on opening night to acknowledge her for how hard she worked and for being a great partner and for the fun we had. I just felt I wanted to give her, for opening night, a special night. Wow. She must have mentioned 5 times in the next 3 days how much she appreciated this little $15 gift that I got her. And it turned out she was in a marriage, which I didn't find out this until later, with somebody who had no idea how much receiving gifts meant to her. And rarely, if ever, maybe, Christmas and birthday, one little gift, and that would be it. Because he had a different love language. So he assumed that she had the love language that he had. His, I believe, was quality time. I knew them both. And so he would spend, sit and, watch TV after dinner or something like that. That was his idea of quality time. And, she could participate or not. But he felt he was being loving by offering her that space and quality time. But that's not what, and it's great to do that, but it didn't make her feel loved. Gifts is what made her feel loved. So that's the fifth one, receiving gifts. So now when you go out there, find out what first of all, you got to find out what your love language is. What is the one that makes you feel loved? Think about, even in the workplace, you can have love in the workplace. That's absolutely fine. And in fact, I encourage you to have love in the workplace. Isn't it great now in the Super Bowls and at the end of the game when it's just such a peak, incredibly emotional event for these players. And they're grown men, they're athletes, world-class athletes who work really hard. And at the end of the game, every time, I'm seeing it every year, these guys hug each other and they say, I love you. These grown men look at each other in the eyes and they're hugging each other. I love you. I love you, man. And they're saying it and they mean it. Now, if these NFL guys can do it, you can too. Now, you don't necessarily have to use the words, I love you, but you can love them in your heart and love them by finding out what their love language is and responding it to it. Let's say you got a coworker whose love language is receiving gifts, like we just talked about. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something from a dollar store, just something that lets you know you're thinking about them. Hey, I see you like a lot of Post-its, and Valentine's Day is coming up, and I got you some Valentine's Post-its to use this week. Thought you might like that. To you, that might be kind of a dumb gift, but to them, it makes them feel loved. If you know that's what their love language is. So how do you find out what somebody's love language is? Well, one is to just try them out and see the reaction. Like when I gave that gift to the person I was in the play with, there was no doubt at all that was her love language. And I didn't even know about the love languages at that time. It's when I finally did read the book and took a workshop on it. I said, wow, I know a great example of somebody whose love language was receiving gifts. And so it all clicked, and other ones have clicked with other people as well. So you try them out on people, but there are other things you can do. And my wife, Carol, and I are doing a talk about it to help people out so they can figure out what their own love language is and what the love language is of their significant other. So we do that as part of our Prosperity Tips series, and that one comes up every once in a while. If you're watching this close to when it's first airing, our next Prosperity Tips class is on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, right after Valentine's Day, and we'll be talking about the love languages. And I do have a little graphic on it. So this is last month's Seasons, or 2 months ago, Seasons of Prosperity. So just, ignore Seasons of Prosperity and just say love languages, 5 love languages. But that's the the class that we have coming up. And we do this class on Zoom every month. And you can see over in the comments the link in case you're interested in signing up for the class. It's about an hour and a half, about 90 minutes. And by the end of it, you'll definitely know what your love language is. If you bring your partner to the class, you'll both know what your own love languages are. And once you find out what your partner's love language is, wow, get ready to have some fun. And it's going to be fun. Coming up with ways to satisfy your partner in a way that makes them feel loved. So that's coming up, and there's the link on it. And and that's every month. Cost is $35, and you sign up online on the link there, and you come and when you sign up, you get an email right away with the Zoom link on it, and then you just join it at 7 p.m. Eastern time to find out. And Carol, my wife, she's really good at figuring out what people's love languages are. If you have any doubt about what yours is, and believe me, you need to know what your love language is, Carol will draw it out of you. She'll ask you some questions. She'll listen to you talk, and you will know what it is. And she has a unique spin on it all as well, where she will be able to put a new take on it that's really interesting and really fun, and will actually boost your own prosperity up about giving and receiving and how it relates to love languages. We also have our Valentine's sale for certification going on, and I'm just going to hide myself and put it's really important just for liability reasons, and so you can be sure you're doing it the right way, because you're going to be representing the people that developed and support these modalities of healing, of energy healing. And I've been doing it for many years, and it's the best decision I've ever made, is getting certified. I never thought it would be anything more than a little sideline thing, a little fun money here and there. And now it's my full-time gig. And I support Carol in doing her workshops like the love languages, but my main gig is emotion code and body code work. So I love talking about it. I see clients all day long, but I always have little spots here and there, like right now, to take calls or return calls. That's probably what it's going to be, is a return call, or returning a message. If you leave a message on the website, we'll be happy to do that for you. Okay. So that's our show for today. If you're one of my regular customers, you can also contact me about our Friday clients only show. And we do actual healings and demonstrations of healings every Saturday. Every Saturday we do that. And if you want to become a guest on it, if you're not a client and want to become a guest, please contact me at the website there, and we can connect up and we can see about if there's an opening to have you come on as a guest, because we take 2 guests every time, and sometimes some of my clients they want to bring their family and friends to it, so we just want to make sure that we don't have too many guests on there. So that's coming up as well. And then of course in March we have our Reframe Your Life workshop, and we'll be talking about that in future live streams like this one. So we're glad you're here, And we look forward to seeing you again. And thanks for joining us. Take care. Have a loving Valentine's Day.